to another Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is BryanCPSteele, and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. All right, everybody. Uh, just just got back. I mean, a couple days ago, but just got back from Origins 2026, and just kind of wanted to do a quick rundown of how the show went, and a couple of cool things that happened during that show, and a couple of less cool things that happened during that show. But we're just gonna give you a quick day by day rundown, and then we've got. Afterwards, we got the Week in Bryan, which is actually going to be pretty important, which we'll get to that in a moment. All right, so first and foremost, Origins 2026, put on by Gamma, is an awesome show. Always has been. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the reasons why I go every year, even if I am not guesting or being as an exhibitor or anything. Even if I just drive out for like a day, it is easily one of my favorite shows because it happens shortly before Gen Con, always within like a month or so. And I don't want to be like it takes some of the pressure off, but the pressure cooker is already building for Gen Con stuff for so many companies. Origins is a way for people to kind of take a quick breather, like kind of pull themselves back and be like, okay, cool, we're good. And you still get to see some new stuff. You get some previews of things. Sometimes it'll be people will preview things that they think they'll have for sale at Gen Con, so you get kind of chance to take a look at it from the ground floor. But overall, it's a solid show. It's always like a little more laid back. It's not quite as hectic. I have one mustache hair that is just giving me grief. Yuck. And I mean, as with any show, especially if you're running any kind of events, which I had a bunch at this show. I had 3. I guess it's not really a bunch. I do more at other shows, but I had 3 that required me to bring a bunch of stuff with me, so it felt like a lot. But you know, it is those kinds of shows. They tend to feel busy and like you're in constant go, and I kind of want to I want to point out that Origins definitely feels like there's more of a stretch between events. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that jam pack their schedule, event butted up to event. But for the most part, it always feels like there's time to do the things that you need to do. And I definitely felt like that was the case this time as well. But like overall, it is a fun show. It is not as high of a high pressure show. But there is still a lot going on. There's a lot of people to talk to and a lot of industry folk that colleagues and things. And I had lots of meetings, and we'll get into that. So yeah, let's just give you the quick rundown of how my Origins went. So Origins technically starts on Wednesday for some of the trade show people. The actual show opens up, I think, Wednesday night for some events, but mostly on Thursday. So I drove over on Wednesday, and during my drive, of which I was fighting torrential rain the whole time, but no tornadoes, which is a plus for the Midwest. Considering they kept warning us, tornadoes likely. I'm like, yeah, that's great. What a great way to cancel Origins. So I'm in Oz. So regardless, on my drive over, while I was driving over, I got an awesome text message from my clients over at Ghostfire Gaming, my colleagues and clients, that D&D Beyond dropped the news of my secret project, which we'll talk more about that. And in fact, I'm going to, when I get to the Week in Bryan, I will explain more about Secret Project. But so I get the news that D&D Beyond has scooped us on the news and let people know, and my phone wouldn't stop blowing up. in all the best ways. I kept getting messages from people that was like, "Is this you? Is this what you were talking about?" Like, congratulations. I put one quick post when I stopped for gas. I put one quick post on Facebook that was like, "Hey, the cat's out of the bag. I'm doing this thing," and so far, again, we'll talk more about it later, but it made the drive go by quickly, knowing that people were getting to react to, honestly, biggest um, one of the biggest things that I've had in my career. In all honesty, I mean, like, I've done lots of things, I've created lots of things, but this is the first time that I've had a chance to directly influence two massive licenses with two massive companies, with being employed by a third. Again, I don't want to get off on track, but so the drive over to Origins was great. I get to Origins, I get to the hotel, everything's great. I start setting up my room the way I need to do it, and I'm gonna wait for Alex to get there, because that's who I'm rooming with, because technically I'm there for Warzone. Um, and I get caught into eating a quiet dinner, and I could have gone out. I could have, like, tried to catch up with the people who got done setting up their booth and things, but I didn't. I was just tired from the drive and enjoying social media, talking about Secret Project, and I guess I don't have to call it Secret Project anymore, but talking about Bound by Blood, and it was just kind of a nice quiet night in. Then Alex came home, and we caught back up, talked a bunch of shop, and had one of our late night Warzone discussions, as we do, and it was a great way to finish the evening. Thursday started up. We had on Thursday, we Alex and I ran one of the Warzone Learn to Play events, where we set up 4 tables and invite a bunch of people out. Um, invite a bunch of people out to uh, learn learn to play, to learn how to play Warzone, with smaller armies. So we do 24 to 25 point forces. We don't get terribly deep into the scenarios. It's a very capture the flag, kind of thing. It's more about just trying to learn, kind of learn people. It's just about people trying to learn the basic mechanics and the kind of ins and outs. Of the people who came out to learn and play, we had a few people who were old Warzone players from back in the day. A couple people who had bought the rulebook from Origins from us the year before, and now they're like, "Hey, now that models are available, I'm wanting to know more." And a couple of people that just had heard the buzz. At least one person who saw people talking about it online, and they wanted to know what was going on. And one person was actually a longtime friend of mine, who has played in Dark Age. I think they played some War Machine back in the day. Like, we've just known each other a long time, and he was like, "Yeah, it's one of your games, so obviously it's going to be good. Let's find out what's up," which I took as a very humbling, you know uh, a very humbling compliment. But the event went really well. Everybody seemed to have a good time. Nobody, I'm gonna absolutely pat Alex and myself on the back in this case. I don't think I've ever had anybody play the game. I mean, we've had people look at the book and go, "I don't know, it's not for me," or, "It's too much like Infinity," or this, that, or the other thing. Like their knee jerk on paper reactions. Um, but I don't think I've ever had anybody play the game, actually see the mechanics, play it for more than a couple of turns, and not walk away going, "This is a good game. I like this." It might not be their favorite game. It might not be the game that knocks 40K or Horus Heresy off of the pedestal for them, but it has, generally speaking, almost universally speaking, um, people appreciate what it does and how it does it. And some people, I mean, again, we've heard from some of the fans that it's their favorite game. And that means so much to us. Like, I cannot express to you how much it means for someone to say your rule set is my favorite game. It's the game that I prefer to put on the block. So the learn to play went really well. The only drawback to the learn to play both on Thursday and Friday, which we'll talk about Friday in a second, um, was that there was no one at Origins selling our product. Combination of some back, back end changes that were happening in fabrication and distribution and just basically some business level stuff. Combine that with the fact that the couple of stores that had booths at Origins did not have anything in stock for them to be able to push, or for us to be able to point to them and go, hey, go to this booth, go to booth, blah 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 blah, and pick up the stuff there. It did mean that convention sales couldn't happen. And one of these days I'll do an entire episode specifically about conventions. But the drawback is that a lot of times people will sign up for an event because they get excited, because they're like, ooh, I love this. And if if they don't have the opportunity to buy it right then, squirrel brain takes over, and the rest of the convention, they're being bombarded by flashy, cool stuff. They're demoing 5 other things. Nobody wants to go to their phone or go back to their computer and order something at a convention. They want to buy stuff. They want instant gratification. They want to take that rulebook home. They want to put those minis together. They want to go to free play that night and play with the new minis. And without that opportunity, it did mean that we probably, of the people who played, we'll say 80% of the people said, man, I would love to buy this stuff. And then I'm going to say maybe half of those people might actually go home and do that. Uh, it's just the reality of the situation. I wish we had better availability at the show. It didn't happen. It is what it is. But regardless, the events themselves went really, really well, and the people left happy. Hopefully, they at least joined the Discord. I know that at least one person did join up and had said that, hey, I just played this at Origins, so I know that it at least moved the needle a little bit. Financially, it would have been nice to do more, but sometimes you just can't help it. Sometimes those decisions are just made. So then Thursday night, Alex and I, no, Thursday night, no, I had my editor meeting with Catalyst Game Labs to talk about my next Shadowrun book, since I have turned in the last one. I still have one more on my contract with them that I didn't really know what topic I'm supposed to be doing. Like it's a part of the beauty of working for another license is I have to sneeze. Are we good? Was it alone? Do I have to do this in a blooper reel because I can't stop sneezing? Nope, we're good. But yeah, one of the benefits of working for a larger license, or an existing canon license, or a license that has an actual product manager, is the story that I'm supposed to write needs to be able to, for the most part, needs to be able to tie in to whatever products they're putting out, to the timeline they're creating. The chronology from their books, their game, needs to match the chronology and the events that are happening in the novels. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, and you get, Star Wars Legends as an issue. So we had a long, wonderful dinner that was a lot of talking about the product, a lot of talking about what we need to do, talking about the timing, roughly when do I need to get this started, when do I need to get the pitch pages in, that kind of stuff. And so it was good. It was just nice to move to move the conversation forward and out of that level of confusion. And then during that conversation, John, the editor, the fiction editor over at Catalyst, was like, "Hey, tomorrow night we're gonna have a Shadowrun like world meeting. Please be a part of it." And I was like, "Awesome, sounds great. I'll come after the Origins Awards." So that was awesome. And then Friday came. Friday, we had Alex and I had another learn to play. Got to do a little bit of shopping, like a little bit of walking around, talking to people, doing some shopping. And oddly enough, in the middle of that sort of getting ready to do stuff, I ran into one of my oldest industry friends, Dan Brandt, also known as Big Irish God or Biggie. He used to run the most successful version of the demo volunteer corps over at Privateer Press right after I had left back in like 2006. So yeah, 20 years ago. I've known this guy for, at least 15, probably closer to 20 years. And he left Privateer long after I did, but he went and joined Pokemon. He was working with Pokemon USA for a long time, and then a handful of years ago, he left Pokemon, went into the video game industry, and then during that time, we didn't really get a chance to see each other much because when you're in the video game industry, you don't really go to shows, not the same shows that I do. So we didn't see each other. Yeah, we talked on Facebook occasionally, and we kept abreast of each other's lives and such, but never really got to see each other beyond beyond his time when he was at Pokemon. And so I'm coming up the escalator, and it was like a scene out of a movie. He's sitting at a table on the landing that I'm escalating up to. And so my head's like, here's the thing, and my head's coming up over the thing, and so his imagery is coming into my line of sight. And as soon as I saw his just gleeful, smiling Buddha face, uh, he shot up out of his chair. I couldn't get up that escalator any faster, and just giant hug. It was so awesome to see him and find out that like just a little bit over a month ago, Gamma had hired him to. I think he's doing marketing management. I don't remember his new position, but just the sheer fact that he is now part of this, and that I can almost guarantee that I'm going to see him at least 2 or 3 times a year at the shows. I mean, I could have cried. I didn't, but I could have. And it was just awesome. It was so cool to see him and see how he's doing, and immediately we're like, all right, I'm here for another 2 days. We will have to get together at some point. We'll make that happen. And then I go off to do my stuff. Alex and I do another successful learn to play, and then he and I bopped out to the Origins Awards, um, which so I've been to the Origins Awards before. I think the last time I was nominated, or I was part of anything that was nominated, was probably 10 years ago, and the last time I've won one was 23 years ago. And that was for Privateer Press, so like way back in the way back machine. So it had been a hot minute since I've been to one of the ceremonies, but I remember them being, I don't want to say boring long, just long. Like you get to see a lot of people making speeches, and a lot of some people get up there and do a lot of thanks and whatnot. And this time, the whole thing, they managed to get it done in like 50 minutes. Part of that was because a lot of people weren't there to accept their awards, so there was no long speeches. There was no, let's wait and applaud. It was a lot of, and this person wins. Are you here? Are you here? No, cool. We'll go to the next person. Um, and overall, I was very happy with the awards. I didn't like collectively, nothing jumped out at me as that didn't deserve to win. I mean, in a second I'll get to it, guys. I'll get to it. Um, I was really unbelievably happy to see that was it the world of Eam, or the realm, yeah, I think it's the world of Eam. Um, I'm so glad that they won best role playing, because first off, it's a gorgeous book. It's a beautiful book. It's made by an unbelievably humble set of creators. Like they were shocked that they were nominated, let alone win. And more than anything, that means so much to me. I know that that sounds so stupid, but the people who are like, we won 8 Origins Awards for this, or we won 14 Ennies, it almost, I hate to be like, it cheapens that for me. Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome. I'm glad that your product won a bazillion awards. But for me, it's the people who don't have the social media, grind machine. They don't have the just add water instant gratification Kickstarter situation. They have a great product, a beautiful product, solid designers, and people who believe in their product enough that they got it in front of the judges and the judges saw that shine through. And the Land of Eam, that that product, and when the author got up there and accepted the award and honestly was like, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to, I didn't know that I would be even invited to this, let alone win. That meant the world to me. I love that so much. I love a success story, especially a success story that isn't predicated with, I paid $300,000 for marketing, so of course this one. Like that, loved it. Um, that being said, Alex and I were up for Best Miniature Game of the Year for Warzone. And we did in fact lose, and the winner of that prize, that award, what went to Blood Bowl, the season 3 box set. Um, I have feelings. I'm Blood Bowl's amazing. It is, and I'm trying not to make this sound like sour grapes. We didn't win. It's more along the lines of a game that really hasn't changed in 20 years. It's just a new printing, but because it's Games Workshop, because it's the 900-pound gorilla in the room, it's almost a foregone conclusion that they're going to sweep it because name recognition. It's like it. I don't know. It just feels to me that there's not enough different about the season 3 box set of an existing game that effectively has not changed in 2 decades should get Best New Miniatures Game of the Year. All right. Enough about that. We didn't win. It was a little disappointing, but again, to sound like some kind of trope, but it was just nice to be nominated. It was nice to be called, that we could say that Warzone was an a finalist in Orjones, Warzone, Origins, uh, in the Origins Awards for Best Miniature Game of the Year. It would have been nice to win. It would have been a hell of a feather in our cap. But if you're gonna lose, at least losing to the gimme, at least no one can be like, how did that beat you? It's Blood Bowl. What are you gonna do? And then after the Origins Awards, Alex and I met up with a couple friends. Played some Thunder Road, had a couple drinks, just a nice evening. Saturday was actually my last day at Origins because Sunday was Father's Day. I left early. I took off, well, early. I still left really, really late, but we'll get to that. I had a very long Saturday. Um, my Saturday, we started out with getting everything checked out, playing some valet luggage juggling, collective weirdness. Um, but then once we got all squared away, um, Connor, my son, my 17-year-old son, who is a diligent gamer in his own right, runs his own D&D games, loves board games, plays video games like nobody's business. But like an actual, like, just he's an avid gamer. He's way more video game than I was at that time, but I can absolutely see a lot of just the love to game is in him. It is he came by it honestly is probably a biological thing. But he hadn't really been to a convention that I work at, a gaming convention, other than I think when he was like 8 or 9. He was a tag along at one at a Gen Con. Um, he came to Gen Con one night for my 40th birthday. Like, he's never really experienced the shows. He's gone to some fan X's and some like horror like pop culture shows with like Natalie and me. But like as far as like going to a show as a gamer specifically to do gamer things, he hadn't really done that. And so this weekend turned out to be a good weekend for him. And so his mother, my first wife, threw him in the car at like 5 in the morning and drove over to Columbus to experience Origins. And as far as I can tell, they had a blast. Um, they walked around. Connor is absolutely a dice goblin. He got sucked into a couple of really cool games. Like he would see some very cool art, and he'd go, "I want to go check this out." He talked to the creator of a completely almost like a zine style splat game that he ended up buying. Just cool stuff. He accidentally bought a limited edition hardcover of a book that I know it's right up his alley. It's very Lovecraftian, old gods returning, the cults of the old gods. I think he's going to probably mine it for a bunch of information, for a bunch of like inspiration for his D&D game. But whatever the case may be, he had a blast. I got to uh, introduce him to the company that hired me to do a bunch of NPCs for one of their NPC collections, and his first D&D character is one of the NPCs that I put in that book. I got to show him, be like, so introduce them. Here you go. This is Aurelios. Like it was neat. Um, he got to meet several of my colleagues, including the CEO of Evil Genius Games, Dave. He got to meet Dave Scott, who, as soon as he met Connor, he goes, I absolutely see the resemblance. So Connor is the uh, uh, inspiration behind one of the iconic characters in Intergalactic Heroes, who has art, digital miniature sculpts. Like there's and the artists involved did an amazing job making a like late 20s, early 30s Han Solo version of my kid. So when Connor met Dave, Dave was like, I absolutely see the resemblance. They did a great job, and he's not wrong. They absolutely did. Um, so it was just really cool. It's cool to have him around. Cool to get him to see, kind of what Dad does at these shows. Obviously, I would have loved for him to be there longer and be actually get to play in events and go and kind of spread his own wings a little bit instead of being, caught under Dad's watchful eye. But regardless, it was just cool to see him be a gamer, to enjoy himself gamering at a show. And then he and Sarah took off, and I went on to. I had a dinner meeting, and then after that dinner meeting, I had to go run. Oh, the dinner meeting. So the dinner meeting ended up being with Dan Biggie. I mentioned him earlier. So he and I found a nice quiet spot, and we talked shop, and we caught up the last, better part of half a decade of how things have been going and what we've been doing and what we've been dealing with. And it Dan said something to me in that conversation, toward the end of that conversation, that was so unbelievably true that like it's a feeling put to words don't that I don't think I've ever been like I've experienced lots of times, but I don't think I've been able to go, that's what it is. There are some people that when you meet, no matter how long, like if it's been a long time since you've talked, that you have that weird awkward, like, do we even really know each other anymore? We used to be close friends. There's always that. And then there are people who, no matter how long of time it's been, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, as soon as you talk to each other again, It's like time never moved. You're right back to the last. You could have said we walked out of that last door was the door we walked out of was 10 years ago, and everything is just immediately the same. And it's that warm, that positive, warm, awesome feeling of a friendship that knows that survives through time despite the lack of watering, despite the lack of attention. And Dan and I have that. And he put that to words, and I cannot agree more. We sat there for like an hour and a half in our little dinner meeting, just catching up and talking about stuff and remember that time, and it was so good, and so it just filled my heart with absolute joy. No matter what was going on, no matter what email I was getting, no matter what business decision was coming down the pipe that that I was going to struggle with, didn't matter. At that point, I was in a moment, I was in a time still moment of just raw enjoying my buddy who I hadn't talked to in a long time. And I walked out of that little dinner meeting, just super happy, and then bounced down to where I had to run my special event for Intergalactic Heroes, which was scheduled for 5 people, but there was a person on the waiting list, and I went ahead and said, I've got 6 characters, got a seat, come on in. And so ran that game, and it went really well. They managed to avoid almost all of the combats, other than like one combat that was not even a lethal combat; it was more of a wrestling match. Um, I I've run that particular scenario one other time before, and the last people were very violent, and I felt like they didn't get quite as much of the story as they did just the action and excitement. This group got a lot more of the story and a lot more of the world setting delivered to them of what Throne World is all about, what the Throne World saga can do. Um, so I think each version has their own strengths. I did feel like at least, like one of the players at the table on this time running it, that I felt like he might have been a little bit bored. He wasn't really engaging very much, and it might also have to do with, I know that there are some players out there that don't want to directly engage. They don't want to have the spotlight on them, and they just kind of are waiting for the next time that they get to roll some dice. I get it. It's fine. Totally makes sense. I just feel bad if that's not the case. If it was that he was just kind of bored because we weren't fighting a bunch of stuff, or that his particular skills didn't come into play because he's kind of a battlefield medic. So I don't know. We'll see. Or I guess we won't see because I'm not running that session again. But overall, everybody seemed to have a good time. And then when that event wrapped up, it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I went and got my car and I drove home. Now, you might be saying, Bryan, didn't you say you live like 3.5 hours away from Columbus? You are correct. I do live 3.5 hours away from Columbus, and it took me almost 4 hours to get home because High Street, the street in Columbus that the highway is attached to, or the freeway is attached to, and the convention center is attached to, is the heart of Pride. And during Pride Month, and during the day, it was the Pride Parade, which was awesome and beautiful, and we love to be out there. And it was cool to see all it was cool to see people enjoying themselves. There is so much negativity in this world. You know me. I love seeing positivity in motion, and if a Pride Parade is not that, it's nothing else. So I'm glad that I did get a chance to get outside of the convention center and see some of the Pride Parade, and I got to meet a beautiful little Doberman that I renamed. I said her name was Rochelle. I don't know what her name was. They did not have a name for her. They said that it was Daisy, but they didn't like it either, so they're going to rename her. And I renamed her Rochelle because she looked like a Rochelle. Um, Regardless, it was a good time. But meant when I was leaving at 11 o'clock at night, the bars were absolutely jam-packed. The street was packed. The traffic was packed. Some of the streets were blocked off. And it made my drive out of Columbus difficult. It took me 45 minutes just to get out of Columbus. Now, once I got out of Columbus, smooth sailing, cruise control, and just go. Um, so I made it home super, super late, but safe. And on the next day, we had Father's Day, where my family bought me a new flat top grill for Father's Day, which is awesome. I can't wait to get some gas for it and use it. But regardless, that was my origins in a nutshell. It was a good time. It was a solid event. It was fun. A bunch of firsts. I got to reconnect with some people. Connor got to enjoy it. People got to play Warzone. People got to play Intergalactic Heroes. I couldn't. I got to see some of my friends. I couldn't have asked for much better. Um, so it was a nice show, and I really really do look forward to the Gamma staff ironing out some of the wrinkles. There's recently been some Gamma management changes, and the new staff got handed. I mean, their single largest public facing show that they do. Uh, they they had some growing pains. They tried some new things, and I applaud them. Uh, overall, I still think it was a great show, even with the hiccups, and I think next year is going to be amazing. Once the new staff kind of sets their flag and says this is what we're going to do, I think it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait till next year. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it about Origins. If you have any questions about the show or specifics, or honestly just questions and comments and stuff, leave them in the comment section. It also makes you part of the comment raffle. Where you get to win cool prize packs. Which, by the way, Drew, if you're listening, I still need to send yours out. I was waiting on something that I knew was coming that I wanted to put into the prize pack. So it just hasn't gone out yet. It will go out soon, I promise. If that's all that you came for, the lowdown on Origins, you are free to go. Please have a great day, be safe, and the like. If you want to stick around for some very cool stuff about the week in Bryan, because I've got at least one really big thing that I get to talk about, please stick around. This is where I would put the graphic of the week in Bryan, and I know that I'm gonna eventually make a cool splat. In fact, my Natalie is an artist. I will probably have Natalie make one for me. That'll be all pretty and whatnot. One of my close friends made a mock-up for me to use, but I seem to have misplaced it. Uh, regardless, at this point, if you're done with me, like, share, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. Tell your friends, grow the audience, make it happen. We'll see you later. If you are sticking around, welcome to the Week in Bryan, an important part of every show where we discuss all the stuff and all the things. I will start with hobbying. I have done nothing. I have been very busy at this side of the studio, and with Origins taking up much of my time. I've got some stuff I want to do. I've got a pretty big chunk of time before I have another event where I need to use some Warzone minis, but I have some Warzone minis that I want to put on the table soon. So there may be some painting in my future if I get an opportunity. We'll see. Work is promising to ramp up just a little bit, not out of control like it used to be, but a little bit. So that's hobbying. Personal life, things are great. My local gym, their pool and sauna and steam room and stuff are all shut down for renovations. Which the sauna is like my favorite part of going to the gym. So it has made my gym experiences not as cool, but they say they're going to be opened up. It's going to be opened back up early August. So I got to get through the next month with just working out. But I'm still doing it. I'm still going 3 times a week. I'm staying healthy, trying to keep healthy, and do my best to stay fit enough that I can keep up with all the folks around me, in all honesty. Uh, Also, on the personal level, can't wait to start using my grill. Gaming wise, played some video games. Obviously, played the games at Origins. Got to do a little bit of Xeogenesis playtesting, a couple hours worth. A few was it a couple weeks? No, a couple days ago. Last week. There we go. Trying to hammer out kind of the last wrinkles in the org faction, the lizardy faction that we have started to do teases and drops of. Plus, started putting some word to page on the fourth faction, which I really can't wait. I know that it's going to take a lot of fixing, a lot. Some of these rule concepts that we've put together that Andy Chambers kind of set me on the path for. Um, I love them. I think they're really cool, but I don't know how efficient they are. If I don't know if the rule of cool is winning out over the rule of useful in that instance. So we'll see. Well, I'm just starting to put some word to page. No one outside the team has actually even heard any of it yet. So we'll see where that goes from there. Warzone's doing great. We just I played one, two, other than the games for Learn to Play. I think I played two playtest games using some stuff that's just about finalized to hopefully get ready for release at some point. Um, and Alex and I have have a meeting to talk about a couple of upcoming models that the playtesters are going to start ironing out the details for. And then we've got to think about getting concept art and stuff worked on them for anyway. But I did. So again, I got that game in, and then literally last night, my one of the guys one of my buddies who I also do work with, ran a playtest session of his module, basically a kind of a 5e skin thing for his stuff. So I got to play in that, and that was cool. And then this upcoming weekend, I've got some D&D run by Natalie. Should be fun. Yeah, that's pretty much all my gaming. Now let's get into the work. Let's finish this weekend, Bryan, with the work stuff. I'm gonna go with the easy stuff first. So there's a card game that I designed for a company that needs a handful of tweaks, just little bit, just a little bit of tweaks here and there. Um, and I've started on those because they want to be able to get that out hopefully to their pre-orders and stuff by the end of the year. So that means I got to get them printed and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be fun when that goes to open ordering. I'll let you guys know. Um, I ended my relationship. I ended my position of writing in the Dungeon in a Box adventure. Um, Mostly because of just the time. The deadline involved was much closer than what I could do with what they needed. So they took my first draft and it is being edited and stuff, and they're going to handle the rest of that stuff. So I'm not working on that right now. I am doing a Shadow Dark conversion for a client that I've worked for before. Converting some D&D stuff over to Shadow Dark. Um, and Obviously trying to get myself geared up to put the pitch page together for a new Shadowrun novel. Warzone, I mentioned that we've got some cool new stuff heading to playtest soon. And then also big news on that is here in the next couple of days, I think, the My Mini Factory Frontier for all of the Warzone STLs is going to go live. So if you have a 3D printer or you have access to a 3D printer, you'll be able to get that stuff from there. Additionally, the folks over at Transatlantis Games, our partners with Warzone, have brought the U.S. fabrication of miniatures to an in-house facility through Terraniacs. Now that does mean that Trenchworks is no longer producing Warzone models. That relationship has now retired. Um, we love our Trenchworks people, Dave, Gavin, and the rest. We love you guys, and I hope that we will continue to see you playing Warzone because I know you guys loved the game as much as we did. Um, but the actual fabrication of the minis is now being moved over to Danny and Tyson over at Terraniacs. I will get that link and make sure that it is in the description of the video. So if you are interested, now the move to Terraniacs doing the fabrication does mean that they can do single models now instead of full units. But they are not handling the unit cards. You will need to go to drive-through cards for that. I will make sure to put the uh, address for that in the description as well. Um, and they do not do snap trays. Snap trays are very specifically a TrenchWorks design. That's their, I guess patent pendant. I don't know if they're ever going to patent it, but that's their process. So we're not going to pirate that process and bring it over to another company. That's rude. So Terraniacs will be doing individual models with no cards. You will have to download the cards from us and print them yourself, or order them through drive-through cards. But they will be able to do single models, unit purchases, that kind of thing. And I will get that link in the description of the video. Xeogenesis is going strong. Like I said, I've done a little bit of background design work on the fourth faction, and cleanup on the third. I know that that's putting the cart in front of the horse as far as on the fourth faction goes, but I also know that it is going to take a lot. It's going to take a long time to make that fourth faction function the way that Andy and I had talked about how it should, which means got to start early, start ironing out the problems. So get on that. Let's see what else. Evil Genius stuff. We released my Rock Band Heroes supplement to fanfare. People really like it. I had a blast putting it together, and I think that if you are an Evil Genius fan or just a fan of like the Rock of Legends, Gem and the Holograms, when Mystery Inc. was a band as well, like if you like that feeling and that concept of a band, Kiss Saves Christmas, and you're big into rock and roll, you should totally grab Sidekick and get Rock Band Heroes, because I tried to bring in a lot of that concepting and feel into the game, and I think I was successful. I felt pretty good about it. And I have just put together the plans. I've started officially putting the plans for how Valerian is going to go. Intergalactic Heroes is still in progress. Obviously, we're starting to get art put together for it. Just things are really moving over there, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy with how things are going, and I'm eager to have my fingers in even more pies over in the land of Evil Genius. So awesome there. And then let's talk about Secret Project. Now, I am definitely going to devote an entire episode to Secret Project when I can. And I keep calling it Secret Project, but I don't have to anymore. So D&D Beyond dropped the news earlier than we were anticipating. They dropped the news that Ghostfire Gaming, who contracted me to write and design this product, is worked with White Wolf Studios and D&D Beyond / Wizards of the Coast to make the first D&D 5.5 version of Vampire the Masquerade. It's something that the Ghostfire guys and I have been working on for almost a year now. 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 10 months, give or take. Maybe, God, it might actually be close to a year. The wheels started moving a long time ago, and it came together. I am really proud of it. I think so. First and foremost, again, I'll talk more about this in a dedicated episode of it, or dedicated episode to it when I talk to the Ghostfire marketing people to find out what I can talk about, because I don't know what all I can say. But it effectively is a way for us to It is a way for us to help bring a 30-year-old license, Vampire the Masquerade, with all of its lore and all of its deep player base, and to try and bring some of the love that we feel. Like I've been a Vampire fan since the '90s, and it is it is a way for people who they see vampire players loving that world and loving the lore and loving the concept behind, they see movies like Underworld. They see Kindred they Embraced, if you remember that. They see this rich world of vampires, and they get kind of sticker shocked because it's a completely different system. It's not one that they know. It's a very tight, clannish, pun intended, community that we wanted to create an opening for, a way for players, D&D players that might go, man, I love vampires. I would really love to experience the world of darkness, but I don't know how to get in. None of my friends are playing it. I can't just bring a 30-year-old game to my table and let them go, all right, let's dig in. I want to try and find a way to bring the world of darkness to my table, and most of my players play D&D. Um, that was kind of our general concept, and pat myself on the back. I think we did a great job. Obviously, it's not the same system, because that's the whole point of a conversion to a crossover into a different system, is use the new system. Um, and I really think so. It is rules to play Kindred in a D&D 5e sense as far as the rule setting goes. And yeah, sure, you can just grab the Kindred and throw it into your Forgotten Realms game or whatever if you want. That's up to you. Your table, your call. But the concept and why we attached an adventure to it is we would love for people to play with the richness of World of Darkness, the lore, learn that lore, but then don't get hung up on the mechanics because the mechanics are easy using D&D 5.5. Um, so that was the whole, like, the goal. It doesn't mean no, we want to throw goblins in your Chicago by Night. I mean, I guess you can if you want. It's your game, but we wanted to be able to just spend the time to talk about Chicago by Night, to talk about the Camarilla and the Sabbat, and like the to bring that lore to the table where people aren't tripping over a new system for these new players. And one of the things that someone did bring up to me is that there's a really good with the surge that D&D has seen in the last 10 years, that there are entire generations of gamers that they never experienced the World of Darkness ever. Like they have no reason to. They weren't there at the height of at the rise of the storyteller system. And multiple systems for Vampire have existed in that time frame. So the goal is that hopefully this will be an opportunity for people um, to get curious and into the World of Darkness by using a more familiar system to them, and everybody wins. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. If you want to add this vampire class to your game in motion and be like, cool, I just want to add vampires to my Ravenloft game. Um, awesome, that's up to you. But if it also means that we get a handful of D&D players who've always been curious, that want to know more about the clans, they want to know more about the Hunger and the Beast, and the the masquerade as a whole. What are the traditions? Like, this is hopefully a tool for that. So again, when I know more as to what I can actually talk about in going in depth, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say this now. Probably in the next couple of weeks, I will dedicate an entire episode to it, and we will talk at great length. In fact, I have a meeting tonight with my guys over at Ghostfire to talk about the future of this project and projection. So we'll see. Either way, I'm just excited. I'm super psyched. And I've been in this industry long enough that I know that there will always be gamers that we can't make happy. Um, but I really hope that the majority of people who are on the fence give it a try, or at least just take a look at it. And if it's not for you, it's fine. There's a lot of game systems out there that are not for me either. I get it. I'm just hoping that people will not just immediately shelve it because they go, I don't want that chocolate in my peanut butter, if you get my drift. So that's the news. Secret Project is out. I cannot wait. In fact, D&D Beyond. I literally got a text message while we were recording this that the pre-sale for Bound by Blood is on D&D Beyond officially now, and I plan to put that link up in here. So bunch of links for you to check out on this episode. But until then, while you're off clicking links, make sure one of them is that subscribe button. Hit the dingy dingy bell so you get to hear from me, and just like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, as you should. Until next time, please be safe. Wash your hands, get your shots, wear a mask if you had to. Don't be a jerk. Don't lick doorknobs. Just try and leave every room a little happier than when you got there. And I think we're going to be okay. Until next week, have fun, stay safe, and play some games. Because I'm gonna. Bye, guys.